The last chapter we left off. Okay. It was the law of miracles where we left off how the masters are able to manifest the so-called miracles. For us, it seems like a miracle. But what they are doing is following the law of creation. In fact, they don't have to follow the law of creation. They understand the law and are able to rise beyond it, right? So we found out that a master said that what Einstein gave, E is equal to mc square. So when we are able to increase the mass to infinity, that body, and it moves with the velocity of light, then it doesn't have to follow what this the laws of the creation are all about. So that is how the masters are able to go beyond it. Again, I'll just read that. The masters who are able to materialize and dematerialize their bodies or any other object and to move with the velocity of light and to utilize the creative light rays in bringing into instant visibility any physical manifestation have fulfilled the necessary Einsteinian condition. Their mass is infinite. Why? Because their energy is infinite. They are one with the infinite consciousness. The consciousness of a perfect yogi is effortlessly identified not with the narrow body, but with a universal structure. Gravitation, whether you call it force or you call it inertia, is powerless to compel a master to exhibit, because we know that gravity gives the mass the weight, right? Because of the body gets weight when it is being pulled down by the gravitational force. So, but then master's body doesn't have to. It cannot, it is powerless to compel a master to exhibit the weight of the property of weight, which is the distinguishing gravitational condition of all material objects. So he says, their imprisoning rings pass on have yielded to the solvent. I am he, I am that, I am the spirit. Hong So. They live in Hong So. They all moments. It's not like only when we are sitting and meditating, we are affirming Hong So. They are that, right? So then he goes on to say that when God first created this universe, the first thing he brought into being was the first atomic reality was the light. On the beams of the immaterial medium occur all divine manifestations. Devotees of every age testify to the appearance of God as flame or light, or even people, some people who have had near-death experiences and come back, they always say that they feel as if they are being pulled out into a tunnel of light, and which is very soothing, very good. I mean, they don't mind getting in there. And when people have visions, they always see whatever they're seeing accompanied with a lot of light. As Master said, the light of thousands of suns, but it is not a piercing, difficult light. It's a very soothing, very calming light. A yogi who through perfect meditation has merged his consciousness with the creator perceives the cosmical essence as light. So for him, it's just like, as Master always used to say, he would take his devotees, the monks and all, to the movie hall. And when, the movie is on, and especially the part where there is this climax is happening and everybody's rooted and wondering what is going to happen, he will gently tap the person next to him and he will show the beam of light coming from the projector room, and he would say, just a play of light and shadow. That one single white beam then projects on the screen, and it's all the play of light and shadow that then you see these actors, this person being nice, this person being bad, and people are killing each other. And then so he said that it is just that. So it's always, especially when we are going through a very intense karmic test, it's always good to step back and know that it is all just a projection on the screen of Maya, the space. So that is why Master said that the scientists have not been able to understand what is the space. Initially, they said it is just vacuum. Then they said, oh, there is something they haven't figured out. But Master said, this space is basically, it's like it's a vibration, it's a veil, it's a screen on which God has projected this whole play of each one of us. Unfortunately for us, it's very difficult to even imagine, because when I touch this harmonium, I feel it, right? So we have been given the five senses. We are living in this world and it's four dimensional. We can feel, we can touch, we can see. So it's very difficult to believe that this is just a screen and all of us are just projected on it. The master, there was this long meditation. After that, he told people that you don't know how I am seeing each one of you. Beautiful beams of light. Each one of us is just that light. Um, are we projecting that light is what is very important. So here he talks about free from matter consciousness, free from the three dimensions of space, breadth, length, and height. And the fourth dimension, he says, is the time. So when a master who is free from that, he transfers his body of light. It is just light, right? Because they have infinite energy, infinite mass, with equal ease over light rays of earth, water, fire, or air. And that is how, when this chapter started with the three hermits, we saw that those guys were just able to move across water as light without even, I mean, it was so natural for them. They wouldn't even have thought about it because they had moved beyond that. That too, even with a simple prayer. We are three, thou art three, have mercy on us. That is all. But they were this innocent consciousness. They were completely open. And he says long concentration on the liberating spiritual eye has enabled the yogi to destroy all delusions concerning matter and its gravitational weight. Therefore, he sees the universe as an essentially undifferentiated mass of light. This is the way for freedom. I mean, today, if we have time, we can do a visualization on the spiritual eye. So, Master said that this opens when deep concentration on the spiritual eye then opens the spiritual eye, where you see the golden ring, and then you enter that. It leads as a tunnel of light, blue light, and the last there is this, and you find that five-pointed star, which he said, if you are able to pierce into that, you are liberated completely. You enter the cosmic consciousness. And Master said that throughout the day, if possible, try to live with your consciousness, your gaze. So we can't be living with our eyes looking up there, but even when we are doing our mundane office work, this is always be conscious of this. The more you're conscious here, and as he said, energy follows attention. The more we keep our attention here, the more it will come here. So in meditation, so that is why he always said that meditation should enable your everyday life. Everyday life should enable. So we can't be rushing about our thing, completely lost, not remembering God. And then 20 minutes you sit down and you expect, no, it is not going to happen. So the whole day, if we practice the presence of God, the more we live with our consciousness here at the spiritual life, the gaze uplifted, we will be able to, the meditation will be much more deeper. And the more Master said, if you are able to keep your concentration at the spiritual eye the whole day, 24 hours, you can be liberated without even having to sit down and meditate. 24 hours, it's difficult. But then the whole point is we have to practice. Every time, bring our consciousness back. Of course, we get lost when we are making all those Excel sheets. Suddenly, oh, I forgot. So you can, again, keep bringing it. The more we practice, slowly it will become possible for each one of us to live that way. And Master always said that a reactive process, the energy going up, what makes us happy and sad is the energy going up, and then the energy going down the astral spine. So outward circumstances make us happy, we are elated, the energy is going up. Something is pulling us down, the energy goes down, and we then become sad, and we become angry, moody. So the more the yogi takes charge of that energy and keeps it uplifted to the point between the eyebrows, and he said that you are able to get away. That is kriya, right? That is why he called it the path of kriya. The path of kriya is every moment we live that way, not just when we are doing kriya. Is not that's not the only time that we have to all the time practice kriya, where We are in charge of that energy, and we are always bringing. So we can all practice it this way also. So that anytime we are feeling moody or something is upsetting us, sit down, take couple of 20 part body recharge, a couple of tensing and relaxing, keep your gaze uplifted here, try to bring that energy. Or just this, master said, just lift your hands, gaze up, bring up a smile on your face. Immediately you will find a shift in the energy. The moment the energy shifts, the reaction stops. So he has given a lot of practical. We have to live this. We have to make he has given us a toolkit. So many things he has given. How do we make use of it? Is what is important. What makes the change? What transforms us is the more we live remembering those things and try to practice them in our everyday life, not just during meditation. So here he goes on to say, he goes on to talk about the retina and how that visualization happens with our physical eyes. He says, through a master's divine knowledge of light phenomena, he can instantly project into perceptible manifestation the ubiquitous light atoms. The actual form of the projection, whether it be a tree, medicine, human body, is in conformance of a yogi's powers of will and of visualization. So willpower. So that is why, he has given right from first class we enter here, we are given energy, energization exercises, and he gave us an axiom: greater the will, greater the flow of energy. So at all moments, everything that we are doing, the mundane things, remembering this axiom, and also visualization. He's saying the more even I am not very good at visualizing it, but he said the more we are able to visualize, so even that we need to practice. It is everything is, even meditation is like a muscle. The more we meditate, the more we develop that meditation, that muscle of meditation, right? Similarly, visualization, closing your eyes and trying to visualize various things slowly over a period of time, we will be able to develop the power of visualization. And a yogi, he's saying that more it depends on the yogi's powers of will and of visualization. So this is very important points he has given us, that try to develop this. This is what he's trying to tell us: willpower and power of visualization. Okay, and then he goes on to say that in dream, a man becomes yogi, right? Because when we sleep, in deep sleep, we lose contact with this body. We don't remember, right, that there is this body that's existing. And in our dream state, we are able, and he says that you are able to meet your long lost friend, and everything seems so real, right? And that moment, that is what is real. This body, this life that we are living doesn't seem real. We don't even remember it. And he says in that moment, the sleeping man becomes yogi. But a yogi consciously creates, the master especially consciously is able to create that. And that is why, so he's saying, with that free and unconditional unconditioned consciousness, which we are able to only manifest during our sleep time, where we don't even remember that, what is happening really. But consciously a master is able to, because he is free, he is completely free of ego, and there is no condition on his consciousness. Known to all men in the phenomena of dream, that the God turned master has forged a never severed link. For him, there is no such, going unconscious in sleep, subconscious state. No, in every moment he is in touch with that superconscious state, and he is able to manifest. That we manifest only in our dreams, innocent of all personal motives. That's very important, right? And employing the creative will bestowed on him by the creator, a yogi rearranges the light atoms of the universe. Amazing, no? To satisfy any sincere prayer of a devotee. There is no personal motive. I like to do it, that is why I'm doing it. No, he is doing for the benefit of others. For it is to uplift the consciousness, and that's why he's saying sincere prayer of a devotee. He will do only for that. For this purpose were man and creation made. What was the purpose? That he should rise up as master of Maya, knowing his dominion over the cosmos. That we are the children of God. We are all prodigal children. We are forgotten. But he's saying that the only purpose of this life was only this. The purpose where man and creation itself was made for that, for man to rise above it and become the child of God, be the in the kingdom of God. But we are like, going around crying, oh, why this, why that. So then he goes on to quote the Bible also in the same context. Now, okay, then he talks about his own this thing of when he is transported between the body of a soldier who's dying and his own body. And when he is completely lost, he doesn't understand. He says, Lord, am I dead or alive? And then the light answers. He says, what has life and death to do with light? In the image of my light, I have made you. This is so powerful. The relativities of life and death belong to the cosmic dream. Behold your dreamless being. Awake, my child, awake. So we are all sleeping, right? We are all sleeping because we don't know that light. We believe that this is what it is. What we are going through is so important. But we have lived lifetime after lifetime. We don't even remember what happened to us in the previous life. We are just carrying it in our astral spine, continuing to sleep. So this is such a powerful thing. Okay. As the Lord inspires. So what he's saying, the next paragraph he's saying is, Lord inspires scientists to discover at the right time. So Einstein said that the law of relativity, he received it. One fine day, it just landed on him. As we mentioned in the last class, Ramanujan received those mathematical formulas. Archimedes, we know, he ran out of his bathtub crying, Eureka. So he is saying that, these guys received because they were receptive. They were constantly working on it. They were constantly trying to understand. So for all the time, going back to it, it just lands on them. That person who is receptive, Lord inspires scientists to discover at the right time and place the secrets of his creation. Many modern discoveries help man to apprehend cosmos as a varied expression of one power, light, guided by divine intelligence. That's all it is, right? We just discover various manifestation of his. What they are discovering is the manifestation of his, one aspect of it. So it's that he talked about, like, the movie projector. That is what we just discussed, what Master always say. So then he's saying that everything, the planetary spheres with their countless forms of life, are not but figures in a cosmic motion picture, temporarily true to five senses perceptions as the scenes are cast on the screen of man's consciousness by the infinite creative being. These are scenes, each one of us. That is why God is, he said, center everywhere, circumference nowhere. So each one of us is seeing the story, the movie that is projected on our screen of consciousness. So then his human children, making them actors as well. So we are also the actors. This is very interesting, where God, he's saying that God is staging an entertainment for his human children, making them actors as well as audience in his planetary theater. But Master said that God made this for man's education and entertainment, but how few are educated or entertained. So which is so true, right? And again he says that when he said, Lord, why dost thou permit suffering? He says, look intently. You will see that these scenes now being enacted, whatever the place, there's nothing but a play. It's like the reel that you see. This is much more intense. It is just a play. That's all. That is what he's saying. Difficult for us to believe when we are going through some intense karmic bomb that has blasted. But it is good. That is why Lahiri Mahashaya said, practice these things, these the paths of Kriya Yoga, all these teachings in the summer of your life. Otherwise, how will you remember in the winter when you are going through an intense test? It's very difficult to suddenly think about what was that he had said. It is very difficult. The more we keep practicing, the days when the days are good, it becomes natural for us to remember those things when there is a difficult thing that is happening. Okay. When he says that, when the light told him that this is just a play, he says, my heart was still not comforted. So master here he is a master. He was already a master, right? But it is like, Arjuna, who was asking questions to Krishna. Arjuna was already a self-realized master. Why did he do? For the benefit of future people, for us, people like us, right? Similarly, master this is just a leela. And he's saying, my heart was still not comforted. The divine voice went on. Creation is light and shadow both, else no picture is possible. The good and evil of Maya must ever alternate in supremacy. If joy were ceaseless here in this world, would man ever seek another? Without suffering, he scarcely cares to recall that he has forsaken his eternal home. Pain is a prod for remembrance. A master always used to say that, if somebody is not very serious on the path, he said he has not suffered enough. Unfortunate that, it's most of the time it is suffering that turns us towards finding those answers, God. Very few, he says, that come for love of God. Very few. Most of the time it is suffering. And because, in astral world, that is why they say that, all these beings, the yogis who have passed on, they all want to come back on this is the plane where you can work out your karma. In astral world, everything is very nice. Everything is beautiful. Especially if you have been had a good karma to enter a good astral realm, so everything is beautiful. There is nothing to prod you to find something more better. That is why they want to come. There is a story also master talks about where it was a saint in India where he had such good karma. He was meditating and he was singing to God, and also the astral being came with his chariot and he said, come, I have come to take you. God is very pleased, so come, I will take you like this only. In his physical body itself, it was ready to take him along. He said, wow, that's very nice, but I just want to ask you a question, will you answer me? He says, you are the first person who's I'm taking you to heaven and who's asking me questions, but go ahead, I will answer you. He said, what kind of places? He says, it's beautiful, it's like this, it's like that. So then he says, okay, one more question. He says, again, you are asking. He says that, will I be able to progress? What will happen if, when all my good karma gets over? He said, you'll have to come back, reborn on the earth. He said, then I would have lost so much of years, no? Because it can be 1,000 years that my good karma I have taken, and I will be just sitting there waiting, not doing anything. So he says, no, I wouldn't come with you. I want to finish it off. I want to be free, not just enjoy the heaven, all the good things that the heaven was offering. He says, I want to be free in God. So he says, I will not come. So the benefit of being on earth is that we have the advantage that we can work on our karma and try to be free in this lifetime itself. And master has given us technique to be free, the airplane route to God, right? Okay, so this is the last pages. This is the cosmic motion picture mechanism. A voice spoke, shedding in its beam on the white screen of your bed sheets. When it gives him that in his room itself, that light comes in. He says that it is producing a picture of your body. Behold, your form is nothing but light. So again, this can be a good post our kriya and all, when we are sitting in silence for a long time. It's a good way to visualize ourselves, weightless, completely filled with light. This is another beautiful visualization that we can do. So anything anybody wants to add? Otherwise, we can go on to read the next chapter.
Yeah, hi, Jayanti. There are two things that I wanted to say. One is that in the initial part of the chapter, they have mentioned that there's a law of Maya where most of the science operates. So there's bound to be a contradiction there. And then the chapter also says that now, depending on how much a human civilization should know, scientists unveil the truth which is already existing. So, as we're making progress, this is also part of God's plan. So, when we know about medicine something, it's because now we're supposed to know about it. So that is a very revealing and humbling thought that I felt. And then one more thing is that they talk about the sensitivity of the retina is so great that a visual sensation can be produced by relatively few quanta of right kind of light. So again, I felt that, yeah, the more visualization that we do, the more positivity that we get in our visualization, it is impacting not only our subconscious or it is actually going back in the universe. So very
We
powerful chapter.
manifest. We can manifest. Only trouble is we are not able to. A master can manifest, as he said, because there is no personal this thing he has. Also, they are free. There is no ego there. They are completely free. And their power, as he said, it's the willpower and the power of visualization. What they visualize, it's binding on the universe to manifest it, because they have that power. They have, they are perfected that yama and niyama that we keep practicing. They have perfected that. So that is why it becomes binding on the universe to manifest what the master is visualizing. Or, and because he's not just doing ki, chalo I want to see this, chalo yahan pe ek ped laga lete. It's not just any whims and fancies. It is because there is a definite purpose, and they have the divine sanction. They don't, master, as once Swamiji said that he was in a group of people who were not believing. They were atheist, and so he was very young at that time. He had just come on the, he was trying to tell, my master, he does miracles and all that. And later on, one day, he was serving at Master's Encinitas, I think. And people had all left, and only Master and Swamiji remained. And Master said, by the way, Walter, he used to call Walter. He said, by the way, Walter, when you are with non believers, do not talk about miracles. And Swamiji was surprised because Master was not even there. He said, Master, you knew? He said, I know every thought that each of you thinks. It is not like, he was talking about every thought that you guys who are living here with me in Encinitas, I know. It is not that. They have this infinite consciousness. Master, today, here, each one of us, all of us who are part of, who are his disciples, every thought. He said, when you are asleep and you're conscious, you are sleeping, I sift through all your consciousness, all your thoughts, all your lives, all your thoughts. So he has access. We have given, as disciple, given the access, but again, they will not intrude. If you don't want them in, they don't intrude. Only if you invite them in, they will take charge. As he says, I will take charge of your life, provided we invite them in. So that is why, again, he is able to reach beyond time and space to be with us this moment. Our master's promise was, if you think of me near, I will be near. So this moment, why I don't see him here is because all that veil or the thoughts, the restlessness, I haven't yet. It is because of me not having developed to that extent where I'll be able to see him. But he will come. That's a promise he has given us. It's a master, self-realized master's promise. So these are very important points to remember, that he knows every thought we think. So it's always good to share everything with him. And even if we don't share, he knows. So it's a good thing to remember this point, that master knows everything. So offer everything. He said in the night, just offer everything back to him. The good that we did, the bad that we did, rather than saying, oh, I did bad, this bad, oh, I have been so bad. Rather than saying, I have been, I could have done better. I haven't yet succeeded. Offer it back to him. Master said that God, what does he want from us? हम जाके मंदिर में जाके 10 रुपए डाले, मिठाई चढ़ाए. He has everything. He is all that. He is the money that he has given you. What will you give it back? The master said that God, what he doesn't have is your love. He doesn't mind your mistakes. He doesn't mind anything. Everything you offer it back, he will happily take it. What he minds is your indifference. So very important points these are for each one of us. So when we are talking about master manifesting anything anywhere, remember that it applies for master, that this is a very good way for us to attune to our master, to practice the presence of master at all times. So the next chapter of Trilanga, we will have, I don't know again whether we will be able to discuss that chapter so much, but that is what it is. We will talk about it in that also. So a master is able to bring into manifestation things that we need for our spiritual growth. And as I said, he's not doing for his whims and fancies. It's because of a sincere prayer of his devotee that he will do things that seem like miracle for us. Right? Any other thought? Any other thing that otherwise we go forward with the chapter? Next chapter. Okay.
Chapter 31, An Interview with the Sacred Mother. Reverend Mother, I was baptized in infancy by your prophet husband. He was the guru of my parents and of my own guru, Sri Yukteswarji. Will you therefore give me the privilege of hearing a few incidents in your sacred life? I was addressing Srimati Kashi Moni, the life companion of Lahiri Mahashai. Finding myself in Benares for a short period, I was fulfilling a long-felt desire to visit the Venerable Lady. She received me graciously at the old Lahiri homestead in the Garudeshwar Mohula section of Benares. Although aged, she was blooming like a lotus, silently emanating a spiritual fragrance. She was of medium build, with a slender neck and fair skin. Large, lustrous eyes softened her motherly face. Son, you are welcome here. Come upstairs. Kashi Moni led the way to a very small room where for a time she had lived with her husband. I felt honored to witness the shrine in which the peerless master had condescended to play the human drama of matrimony. The gentle lady motioned me to a pillow seat by her side. It was years before I came to realize the divine stature of my husband, she began. One night, in this very room, I had a vivid dream. Glorious angels floated in unimaginable grace above me. So realistic was the sight that I awoke at once. The room was strangely enveloped in dazzling light. My husband, in lotus posture, was levitated in the center of the room, surrounded by angels who were worshipping him with the supplicating dignity of palm-folded hands. Astonished beyond measure, I was convinced that I was still dreaming. Woman, Lahiri Mahashai said, you are not dreaming. Forsake your sleep forever and forever. As he slowly descended to the floor, I prostrated myself at his feet. Master, I cried, again and again I bow before you. Will you pardon me for having considered you as my husband? I die with shame to realize that I have remained asleep in ignorance by the side of one who is divinely awakened. From this night, you are no longer my husband, but my guru. Will you accept my insignificant self as your disciple? The master touched me gently. Sacred soul, arise, you are accepted. He motioned toward the angels. Please bow in turn to each of these holy saints. When I had finished my humble genuflections, the angelic voices sounded together like a chorus from an ancient scripture. Consort of the Divine One, thou art blessed. We salute thee. They bowed at my feet, and lo, their refulgent forms vanished. The room darkened. My guru asked me to receive initiation into Kriya Yoga. Of course, I responded. I am sorry not to have had its blessing earlier in my life. The time was not ripe. Lahiri Mahashai smiled consolingly. Much of your karma I have silently helped you to work out. Now you are willing and ready. He touched my forehead. Masses of whirling light appeared. The radiance gradually formed itself into the opal blue spiritual eye, ringed in gold, and centered with a white pentagonal star. Penetrate your consciousness to the star, into the kingdom of the infinite. My guru's voice had a new note, soft like distant music. Vision after vision broke as oceanic surf on the shores of my soul. The panoramic spheres finally melted in a sea of bliss. I lost myself in ever-surging blessedness. When I returned, hours later, to awareness of this world, the Master gave me the technique of Kriya Yoga. From that night on, Lahiri Mahashai never slept in my room again, nor thereafter did he ever sleep. He remained in the front room downstairs in the company of his disciples, both by day and by night. The illustrious lady fell into silence. Realizing the uniqueness of her relationship with the sublime yogi, I ventured finally to ask for further reminiscences. Son, you are greedy. Nevertheless, you shall have one more story. She smiled shyly. I will confess a sin which I committed against my guru husband. Some months after my initiation, I began to feel forlorn and neglected. One morning, Lahiri Mahashai entered this little room to fetch an article. I quickly followed him. Overcome by violent delusion, I addressed him scathingly. You spend all your time with the disciples. What about your responsibilities for your wife and children? I regret that you do not interest yourself in providing more money for the family. The Master glanced at me for a moment. Then, lo, he was gone. Awed and frightened, I heard a voice resounding from every part of the room. It is all nothing, don't you see? How could a nothing like me produce riches for you? Guruji, I cried, I implore pardon 1,000,000 times. My sinful eyes can see you no more. Please appear in your sacred form. I am here. This reply came from above me. I looked up and saw the Master materialize in the air, his head touching the ceiling. His eyes were like blinding flames. Beside myself with fear, I lay sobbing at his feet after he had quietly descended to the floor. Woman, he said, seek divine wealth, not the paltry tinsel of earth. After acquiring inward treasure, you will find that outward supply is always forthcoming. He added, one of my spiritual sons will make provision for you. My guru's words naturally came true. A disciple did leave a considerable sum for our family. I thanked Kashi Moni for sharing with me her wondrous experiences. On the following day, I returned to her home and enjoyed several hours of philosophical discussion with Tingkuri and Dukuri Lahiri. These two saintly sons of India's great yogi followed closely in his ideal footsteps. Both men were fair, tall, stalwart, and heavily bearded, with soft voices and an old-fashioned charm of manner. His wife was not the only woman disciple of Lahiri Mahashai. There were hundreds of others, including my mother. A woman chela once asked the Guru for his photograph. He handed her a print, remarking, "If you deem it a protection, then it is so. Otherwise, it is only a picture." A few days later, this woman and Lahiri Mahashai's daughter-in-law happened to be studying the Bhagavad Gita at a table behind which hung the Guru's photograph. An electrical storm broke out with great fury. "Lahiri Mahashai, protect us!" The women bowed before the picture. Lightning struck the book which they had been reading, but the two devotees were unhurt. I felt as though a sheet of ice had been placed around me to ward off the scorching heat, the chela explained. Lahiri Mahashai performed 2 miracles in connection with a woman disciple, Abhoya. She and her husband, a Calcutta lawyer, started one day for Benares to visit the Guru. Their carriage was delayed by heavy traffic. They reached the Howrah main station only to hear the Benares train whistling for departure. Abhoya, near the ticket office, stood quietly. "Lahiri Mahashai, I beseech thee to stop the train," she silently prayed. "I cannot suffer the pangs of delay in waiting another day to see thee." The wheels of the snorting train continued to move round and round, but there was no onward progress. The engineer and passengers descended to the platform to view the phenomenon. An English railroad guard approached Abhoya and her husband. Contrary to all precedent, he volunteered his services. "Babu," he said, "give me the money. I will buy your tickets while you get aboard." As soon as the couple was seated and had received the tickets, the train slowly moved forward. In panic, the engineer and passengers clambered again to their places, knowing neither how the train started nor why it had stopped in the first place. Arriving at the home of Lahiri Mahashai in Benares, Abhoya silently prostrated herself before the master and tried to touch his feet. "Compose yourself, Abhoya," he remarked. "How you love to bother me. As if you could not have come here by the next train." Abhoya visited Lahiri Mahashai on another memorable occasion. This time she wanted his intercession not with a train, but with the stork. "I pray you to bless me that my 9th child may live," she said. 8 babies have been born to me. All died soon after birth." The master smiled sympathetically. "Your coming child will live. Please follow my instructions carefully. The baby, a girl, will be born at night. See that the oil lamp is kept burning until dawn. Do not fall asleep and thus allow the light to become extinguished." Abhoya's child was a daughter, born at night, exactly as foreseen by the omniscient Guru. The mother instructed her nurse to keep the lamp filled with oil. Both women kept the urgent vigil far into the early morning hours, but finally fell asleep. The lamp oil was almost gone. The light flickered feebly. The bedroom door unlatched and flew open with a violent sound. The startled women awoke. Their astonished eyes beheld the form of Lahiri Mahashai. "Abhoya, behold, the light is almost gone." He pointed to the lamp, which the nurse hastened to refill. As soon as it burned again brightly, the master vanished. The door closed. The latch was affixed without visible agency. Abhoya's 9th child survived. In 1935, when I made inquiry, she was still living. One of Lahiri Mahashai's disciples, the Venerable Kali Kumar Roy, related to me many fascinating details of his life with the Master. I was often a guest at his Benares home for weeks at a time, Roy told me. I observed that many saintly figures, Danda Swamis, arrived in the quiet of night to sit at the Guru's feet. Sometimes they would engage in discussion of meditational and philosophical points. At dawn, the exalted guests would depart. I found during my visits that Lahiri Mahashai did not once lie down to sleep. During an early period of my association with the Master, I had to contend with the opposition of my employer, Roy went on. He was steeped in materialism. "I don't want religious fanatics on my staff," he would sneer. "If ever I meet your charlatan guru, I shall give him some words to remember." This alarming threat failed to interrupt my regular program. I spent nearly every evening in my guru's presence. One night my employer followed me and rushed rudely into the parlor. He was doubtless fully bent on uttering the pulverizing remarks he had promised. No sooner had the man seated himself than Lahiri Mahashai addressed the little group of about 12 disciples. "Would you all like to see a picture?" When we nodded, he asked us to darken the room. "Sit behind one another in a circle," he said, "and place your hands over the eyes of the man in front of you." I was not surprised to see that my employer also was following, albeit unwillingly, the Master's directions. In a few minutes, Lahiri Mahashai asked us what we were seeing. "Sir," I replied, "a beautiful woman appears. She wears a red-bordered sari and stands near an elephant ear plant." All the other disciples gave the same description. The Master turned to my employer. "Do you recognize that woman?" Yes, the man was evidently struggling with emotions new to his nature. "I have been foolishly spending my money on her, though I have a good wife. I am ashamed of the motives which brought me here. Will you forgive me and receive me as a disciple? If you lead a good moral life for 6 months, I shall accept you." The Master enigmatically added, "Otherwise, I won't have to initiate you." For 3 months my employer refrained from temptation. Then he resumed his former relationship with the woman. 2 months later he died. Thus I came to understand my guru's veiled prophecy about the improbability of the man's initiation. Lahiri Mahashai had a very famous friend, Swami Tailanga, who was reputed to be over 300 years old. The two yogis often sat together in meditation. Trailanga's fame is so widespread that few Hindus would deny the possibility of truth in any story of his astounding miracles. If Christ returned to earth and walked the streets of New York, displaying his divine powers, it would cause the same excitement that was created by Tailanga decades ago as he passed through the crowded lanes of Benares. On many occasions the Swami was seen to drink, with no ill effect, the most deadly poisons. Thousands of people, including a few who are still living, have seen Trailanga floating on the Ganges. For days together he would sit on top of the water, or remain hidden for very long periods under the waves. A common sight at the Benares bathing ghats was the Swami's motionless body on the blistering stone slabs, wholly exposed to the merciless Indian sun. By these feats Trailanga sought to teach men that a yogi's life does not depend upon oxygen or ordinary conditions and precautions. Whether he were above water or under it, and whether or not his body lay exposed to the fierce solar rays, the Master proved that he lived by divine consciousness. Death could not touch him. The yogi was great not only spiritually but physically. His weight exceeded 300 pounds, a pound for each year of his life. As he ate very seldom, the mystery is increased. A master, however, easily ignores all usual rules of health. When he desires to do so for some special reason, often a subtle one known only to himself. Great saints who have awakened from the cosmic Mayic dream and realized this world as an idea in the divine mind can do as they wish with the body, knowing it to be only a manipulatable form of condensed or frozen energy. Though physical scientists now understand that matter is nothing but congealed energy, fully illumined masters have long passed from theory to practice in the field of matter control. Trilanga always remained completely nude. The harassed police of Benares came to regard him as a baffling problem child. The natural Swami, like the early Adam in the Garden of Eden, was utterly unconscious of his nakedness. The police were quite conscious of it, however, and unceremoniously committed him to jail. General embarrassment ensued. The enormous body of Trilanga was soon seen in its usual entirety on the prison roof. His cell, still securely locked, offered no clue to his mode of escape. The discouraged officers of the law once more performed their duty. This time a guard was posted before the Swami's cell. Might again retired before right. Trilanga was soon observed in his nonchalant stroll over the roof. Justice is blind. The outwitted police decided to follow her example. The great yogi preserved a habitual silence. In spite of his round face and huge barrel-like stomach, Trilanga ate only occasionally. After weeks without food, he would break his fast with potfuls of clabbered milk offered to him by devotees. A skeptic once determined to expose Trilanga as a charlatan. A huge bucket of calcium-lime mixture used in whitewashing walls was placed before the Swami. "Master," the materialist said in mock reverence, "I have brought you some clabbered milk. Please drink it." Trilanga unhesitatingly drained to the last drop the containerful of burning lime. In a few minutes the evildoer fell to the ground in agony. "Help, Swami, help!" he cried. "I am on fire. Forgive my wicked test." The great yogi broke his habitual silence. "Scoffer," he said, "you did not realize when you offered me poison that my life is one with your own. Except for my knowledge that God is present in my stomach, as in every atom of creation, the lime would have killed me. Now that you know the divine meaning of boomerang, never again play tricks on anyone." The well-purged sinner, healed by Trilanga's words, slunk feebly away. The reversal of pain was not due to any volition of the master, but came about through unerring application of the law of justice, which upholds creation's farthest swinging orb. Men of God-realization like Trilanga allow the divine law to operate instantaneously. They have banished forever all thwarting cross-currents of ego. The automatic adjustments of righteousness, often paid in an unexpected coin, as in the case of Trilanga and his would-be murderer, assuage our hasty indignance at human injustice. "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," saith the Lord. What need for man's brief resources? The universe duly conspires for retribution. Dull minds discredit the possibility of divine justice, love, omniscience, immortality. Airy scriptural conjectures, this insensitive viewpoint, aweless before the cosmic spectacle, arouses a train of events which brings its own awakening. The omnipotence of spiritual law was referred to by Christ on the occasion of his triumphant entry into Jerusalem. As the disciples and the multitude shouted for joy and cried, "Peace in heaven and glory in the highest," certain Pharisees complained of the undignified spectacle. "Master," they protested, "rebuke thy disciples." "I tell you," Jesus replied, "that if these should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out." In this reprimand to the Pharisees, Christ was pointing out that divine justice is no figurative abstraction, and that a man of peace, though his tongue be torn from its roots, will yet find his speech and his defense in the bedrock of creation, the universal order itself. "Think you," Jesus was saying, "to silence men of peace? As well may you hope to throttle the voice of God, whose very stones sing his glory and his omnipotence. Will you demand that men not celebrate in honor of the peace in heaven, but should only gather together in multitudes to shout for war on earth? Then make your preparations, O Pharisees, to overtopple the foundations of the world. For it is not gentle men alone, but stones, or earth, and water, and fire, and air, that will rise up against you to bear witness of his ordered harmony." The grace of the Christ-like yogi Trilanga was once bestowed on my Sojo Momo, maternal uncle. One morning uncle saw the master surrounded by a crowd of devotees at a Benares ghat. He managed to edge his way close to Trilanga, whose feet he touched humbly. Uncle was astonished to find himself instantly freed from a painful chronic disease. The only known living disciple of the great yogi is a woman, Shankari Mai Ju. Daughter of one of Trilanga's disciples, she received the Swami's training from her early childhood. She lived for 40 years in a series of lonely Himalayan caves near Badrinath, Kedarnath, Amarnath, and Pasupatinath. The Brahmacharini, woman ascetic, born in 1826, is now well over the century mark. Not aged in appearance, however, she has retained her black hair, sparkling teeth, and amazing energy. She comes out of her seclusion every few years to attend the periodical melas, or religious fairs. This woman saint often visited Lahiri Mahashai. She has related that one day, in the Barakpur section near Calcutta, while she was sitting by Lahiri Mahashai's side, his great guru Babaji quietly entered the room and held converse with them both. On one occasion her master, Trilanga, forsaking his usual silence, honored Lahiri Mahashai very pointedly in public. A Benares disciple objected. "Sir," he said, "why do you, a Swami and a renunciate, show such respect to a householder?" "My son," Trilanga replied, "Lahiri Mahashai is like a divine kitten, remaining wherever the cosmic mother has placed him. While dutifully playing the part of a worldly man, he has received that perfect self-realization for which I have renounced even my loincloth." Chapter 32. Rama is raised from
dead. Now a certain man was sick.
So we have already run out of time. It was a long chapter, so we will discuss it in the next one. So let's just for a moment, let us close our eyes and gazing up at the spiritual eye, concentrate on this, that life of Lahiri Mahashaya that he lived, the Leela that he played on this planet. As Trilanga says, Lahiri Mahashaya is like a divine kitten, remaining wherever the cosmic mother has placed him. This great sage who has brought Kriya Yoga, back into this world, was blessed by Babaji to spread the Kriya Yoga and offer it to any sincere seeker, opening it out for even householders like us, this great blessing of Kriya Yoga. Let us offer our gratitude to this great Yogi Guru. Om Shanti Shanti. So this week, let this be a takeaway. Maybe go back to this chapter and let's read it again and again. What Kashi Moni said, and this life of Lahiri Mahashaya. Let us try to stay connected with Lahiri Mahashaya in our meditations also. Let him be the guiding guru for this week, and let us see what blessings we all receive from him during the week, and also practice visualization in our own ways. And Master always said that before you start your kriya, visualize this astral spine. Let us practice that every time we start. There might be some who are not Kriya Yogis, so I will not go into the details, but we have been given in the initiation day, we are told how to, become aware of the astral spine. So let us do that and practice visualization. And of course, as I said, meditate on with Lahiri Mahashaya, keep him in our company throughout the week. So that is our takeaway for the week. See you all next week. We will discuss this. Hopefully we'll finish this fast and go on to the next chapter. That's beautiful chapter again, Rama, who is brought from dead. See you all.